The proof you keep asking for is the reason you still feel empty-handed. That sounds backwards, but it is the mistake that quietly keeps people stuck. They believe for 5 minutes. Then they look. They check the phone. They open the app. They scan the room. They search for one tiny sign that something changed. And in that exact moment, they leave the state. Not because they failed, not because they are weak, because they gave authority back to the thing they were supposed to command from within. Neville's teaching becomes dangerous when you finally understand this. The outside is not where the decision is made. The outside is where the decision shows up late. By the time something appears in your physical life, consciousness has already moved first. That means the evidence is never the beginning. It is the echo after the choice. This is why checking feels innocent, but it is not innocent. Checking says, I am not sure yet. Checking says, I will believe when I see something. Checking says, the world gets the final vote. And the fulfilled version of you does not live that way. The fulfilled version of you is not refreshing a screen every 3 minutes. They are not reading silence like a verdict. They are not studying circumstances like a judge is about to sentence them. They have already accepted the answer. There was a woman named Elise who wanted one message. Just one. An apology from someone she loved. Every morning, before she even sat up, her hand went to her phone. No message. So her whole body would drop. Then she would try to recover with affirmations. But the damage was already done. Because the first thing she accepted every morning was absence. Not love. Not peace. Not fulfillment. Absence. She thought she was waiting for a text. But she was really rehearsing being the person who had not been chosen yet. That is the hidden trap. The thing you repeatedly check becomes the thing you repeatedly confirm. Not because the object has power, but because your attention keeps returning you to the old identity. Then one morning, Elise did something strange. She woke up and did not touch the phone. Not as a trick, not as a technique, not to make someone chase her. She simply asked herself one question. What would this morning feel like if I already knew I was loved? Not if she had proof. Not if the screen showed the right name. Just if she knew. Her shoulders softened. Her breathing changed. She made coffee without rushing. She did not feel dramatic. She did not feel excited. She felt settled. That is the feeling people overlook. They expect manifestation to feel electric. But fulfillment often feels quiet. No panic. No bargaining. No inner begging. Just a simple sense that the matter is no longer open for debate. That is living from the end. It does not mean acting fake. It does not mean pretending you do not care. It means you stop letting the current scene define who you are. The current scene is old news. It is yesterday's consciousness still wearing today's clothes. So why keep asking it who you are? Why let an unanswered message tell you whether you are loved? Why let a number in an account tell you whether you are secure? Why let one delay tell you whether your desire is real? Neville would bring you back to the only place that matters. Your assumed position, not your mood, not your history, not what someone said last week. Your assumed position. The question is not, did it happen yet? That question belongs to the old self. The real question is, who am I being while I look at this? Because you can look at silence and be abandoned. Or you can look at silence and remain chosen. Same silence, different self. And the self you occupy is the instruction you keep giving reality. This is where everything changes. You do not need to win a fight with circumstances. You need to stop asking circumstances to crown you. You crown yourself inwardly. Then the world begins to learn how to treat you. Slowly at first, then naturally, then so obviously that you wonder why you ever begged for proof. But there is a delicate point here. You cannot use inner certainty as a performance. You cannot say, fine, I will feel fulfilled so the message comes faster. That is still checking. That is still bargaining. That is still absence wearing spiritual language. The fulfilled state is not a tactic. It is a home. You return to it because it is true within you. You remain there because you refuse to keep renting space in the old story. When Elise stopped checking, her life did not freeze. It opened. She laughed more. She worked better. She stopped treating every hour like a courtroom. And then something even more important happened. Before the message came, she no longer needed it to prove who she was. That was the real manifestation. The phone was no longer her master. The silence was no longer her identity. The absence was no longer her name. Then the message came. But by then, it felt less like a miracle and more like a confirmation. Not a rescue, a confirmation. Because she had already moved. This is the part many miss. The goal is not to get the thing while staying the frightened version of yourself. The goal is to become the one for whom the thing is natural. Natural love, natural money, natural opportunity, natural respect, natural peace. When something is natural to you, you do not hunt for it. You do not interrogate the world for updates. You do not panic every time the scene looks unchanged. You know what is yours by the state you have accepted. So today, remove the crown from evidence. Stop treating proof like a god. Stop letting the outer picture decide whether your inner act was real. The proof comes after. The receipt comes after. The confirmation comes after. First comes the inner acceptance. First comes the quiet decision. First comes the version of you who no longer asks, "Am I there yet?" Because that version knows. Not loudly, not desperately, not with force. Simply, and that simple knowing is more powerful than 1,000 anxious techniques. So let the phone sit. Let the account sit. Let the person be. Let the room look the same for a moment. Your work is not to squeeze proof out of life. Your work is to stop abandoning the state every time proof is not immediate. Stay chosen before they choose you. Stay wealthy before the number changes. Stay peaceful before the answer arrives. Stay fulfilled before the scene catches up. That is the discipline. That is the secret. That is the quiet power Neville was pointing to. The world does not need to agree first. You do. And when you finally stop asking life to convince you, life begins reflecting the conviction you refuse to surrender. And if this message resonated with you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell, because what you learn next could change your life.